Welcome to Steel Roses podcast. This was created for women by women. My name is Jenny, and this is episode 13 of Steel Roses. We're really excited about this episode. This is essentially the inaugural episode where we're having a guest on with myself and Melissa, my regular co-host. On this episode, you're going to be hearing our guest Lauren. We go into a couple of different topics here. It's a wide range. Lauren is our cousin, but she's also an educator. She is a bride to be, so we do cover wedding, and and we cover also her food blog as well, which is actually pretty successful on Instagram. Check it out. Definite recommend for any of the foodies out there. It's the_fancy_foodie on Instagram. Really delicious pictures if you want to feast your eyes. For part one of the interview with Lauren, we actually do dive in a little bit deep with education, special education, and working through when you have a child who does need additional support due to learning disabilities or ADHD, which is something that I'm experiencing right now with one of my kids. So we did go into quite a bit of detail there. So on episode one, you're going to be hearing about that for part one of this 2-part interview. We hope you enjoy it, and we really are excited about this. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, good morning. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Steel Roses podcast, everybody. We brought along with us a special guest. This is Lauren, our cousin. All of our parents are siblings, so is our first cousin.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so excited. Yeah, we're super excited about this. I have a lot of questions I want to pick your brain on. But we're gonna, Melissa, let's talk about, give a little recap from our weeks. How was your week? How is everything going on your side?
Well, we were supposed to be doing this in person because I was supposed to be in New Jersey. But unfortunately, Mia likes to say this. She goes, Daddy got me sick because Daddy brought home the cold like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But of course, it didn't go through the entire house until right before we were supposed to get on a plane to come to New Jersey with my mother,
of course,
aka your aunt. And so everybody was kind of sick. But we did go to our first movie theater. We took Mia to her first movie at the theaters.
I saw
Did
that.
she last? Did she last like the whole movie? I'm really curious.
It was like the last. So we came prepared. We went to the dollar store, got a bunch of snacks, made like a bento box situation of like goodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then she made it to the last 10 minutes of the movie. By the way, we went to go see Elemental, which
I'm dying to see that. Is it
not
good?
Growing up. I hadn't heard about, it wasn't Frozen or something. It was really cute. Mia was super into it. The animation was really good. So, cousin, take your kids. Lauren, I know you got friends with little kids too. It was really good. It was good. So
yeah, I've honestly been wanting to see it, me personally, and I can excuse it because I have kids and I can be like, come on, guys, let's go.
Well, it was really funny because at the end of the movie, Matt's like, damn, how does Disney do that? Matt is everyone thinks he's Lauren, he's, what would you say? He's more like Michael, or your brother Michael. He's a little more introverted. Yeah. You don't really see, he gives everybody hugs, but he's not super talkative like the rest of us in the family. But at the end of the movie, he was like, damn, how does Disney do that? Here you are caring about what happens to, he's like, it's a drop of water. It's elements of the world. So it's a fire person, a water person. He's like, when they touched, he's like, why did I care?
I get very invested in my Disney movies. So
yeah, he's like, but I'm a guy, so he's probably gonna kill me for sharing with that.
That's actually pretty funny though.
That is.
And just an update. Are you also keeping up with your spin classes?
Oh my gosh, I am. So I made it onto the top 3 of the leaderboard, and I'm pretty like, not to like pat myself on the back, but some of these people are like hardcore, like they go every day.
Yeah.
And like your dad, Lauren. So Lauren's dad, he is a spin pro, and I was so disappointed because I didn't get to talk to him about it this weekend, but he's a spin pro, and I don't know how he does it, but like after I got on the leaderboard the next day, 2 days, I was like dead. I was like, oh God, I pushed myself too hard.
I kind of wanted to I wanted to say something about that too, because so we, and just so everybody who's listening, we had a family gathering this weekend, and Lauren wasn't able to go, Melissa wasn't able to go. So I wanted to give like some deets, like some little details from it. But one of them was that Lauren's dad goes to spin class every single day. And I brought it up and I was like, wow, like that's awesome. And he was like, he gets up at 5 o'clock every morning and goes. And I felt really terrible about myself because I also have been really trying to get up at 5 a.m. And every morning I'm like, and I shut the alarm off.
I make an excuse like, yeah, I'll do it later. Like,
I know, and then I don't go, and I'm totally losing like all the gains I had earlier in the year. It's like it's like bumming me out a little bit.
He's insane. I think it's his type of, escape from work and from everything else. So, more power to him, because I can't wake up at that hour.
I know. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna like, he really like kind of inspired me a little bit, and then but I felt bad about it. Really, Lauren, is what happened. I was like, he said that, and I was like, damn, I'm much younger. I really should be able to make this magic happen.
And the days that he doesn't do spin, he does like a total body class. Like,
oh my gosh,
what am I doing?
Well, that's amazing.
Right? What are we doing with our lives, girls? The funnier part though, what I have to say is like, I started going, oh yeah, like, you're doing is like doing it keeps you young. Like there's proven research that says like exercising really helps to keep your youth. And he was like, well, no, I just want to be able to eat whatever I want. I was like, oh my God. All right. I was like, okay.
Yeah, our family is Italian, so it makes sense, right?
I know. Yeah, you gotta have the red wines. You need it. You need that stuff in there.
I eat whatever I want, but I still don't wake up at 5 a.m. So I don't know what's going on here.
Just watch out when you get to your 40s with that. I'm just saying. Like,
it's already
Melissa and I talk about that quite a bit, that in our 20s, it's like for a week, if we just like ate lighter, you'd lose like 8 pounds. And now that's not the case anymore. You gain a pound basically because you're like,
after kids, forget it.
And it's not, my body's
I also had the great pleasure to be with our grandmother, Grandma Rose, yesterday.
Who's 94 for our listeners.
94. And she's amazing. And for anyone who hasn't heard our welcome intro episode, which was the very first episode that we posted, this podcast was really especially the naming of this podcast, Steel Roses, was inspired by our grandmother, because she is such a pillar in our family and she's such an amazing, powerful woman. Lauren, much like your grandmother on your mother's side, like amazing. These are women that are rare. They're not made this way anymore, and they're just phenomenal. And Grandma Rose fully supports this podcast. She was very excited when she was talking about it yesterday. And Melissa, she said what the work we're doing is so important, because no one, when she was, having kids and when she was first got married and everything to our grandfather, she was like, nobody talks about this stuff. She was like, no one talked about it. And you kind of were just left to fend on your own. And, she was like, this is so important for like everybody. And it's so amazing that we're doing this. So I'm just like really honored by that. And now we all get to come together, like us as a family, and we're on this podcast together. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. I had one other thing that I wanted to say about my week, and then we can dive into just talking to Lauren and just kind of going through our topics. One other note I wanted to make for our listeners, this is like a tidbit from one of my girls. So I have this terrible habit, Lauren, because I'm usually multitasking like at all times. I'm actually trying to stop doing that for a plethora of reasons. One habit that I had since they were babies was that I don't sit down and eat anymore. And it's usually because by the time I would sit down to eat, somebody would need something, or a baby was crying or whatever. So for the past like 7 years, I've gotten into this habit where I really don't sit down with everybody to eat. I might eat later, or I'll stand and like kind of just snack while I cook. And one of my daughters said to me recently, like I think it was the last couple of days, she said, Mommy, I wish that you were a boy because boys are allowed to sit down to eat. And I guess girls aren't.
Oh.
And I said, actually, that's not true. Mommy will make sure that I sit down to eat with you. Okay. I was like, Mommy just usually is I usually am very busy. And you know that. I was like, but that's not true. I was like, girls can sit down to eat too. I was like, and Mommy's going to make sure I sit down to eat. And she was like, yeah, you really have to eat. And it's been like a thing recently where all of my kids comment on the fact that I don't sit down with them and eat meals with them.
I think it's so important. I feel like looking back on my childhood, like something I'll always remember is we always sat down as a family and had dinner. And like, that was like the best part of my day.
Oh, that was so sweet.
It really was. We got to like talk. And like, that was the only time we were like together in one spot and not like doing a million things,
which, you know, I have that briefly, I have that memory and, you know, and I lost that along the way because I'm always like, oh, I need to do the dishes, or maybe I should, you know, let them eat and I'll wash the dishes so that way I don't have to do it later. And, you know, I'm constantly trying to like crunch everything in. And that comment kind of like woke me up. And I was like, I'm, you know, because I'm like, I'm telling my daughters something, but then I'm not actioning on it. And I'm like, well, if I really want to show them a good example, then I have to make sure that I'm doing this as well. So I wanted to tell you guys about that because I was like a little surprised that she said that. And I was like, oh, they picked up on this and that's interesting. So I wanted to share that with you.
Not to nerd out, but you know how your phone sends you like notifications. So I just read a CNN article on this, and they said that if a family sits together for 3 meals out of the week, that the child performs better in school. They have better self-confidence. What was the other thing the research showed? It was like, and they sleep better at night.
No kidding.
Totally believe that.
So, you know, maybe I'll make it like a personal goal. I don't know if I'll be able to do it every time, but maybe I will make it like a personal goal to at least 3 times a week just to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that, it threw me a little bit. And there was another comment too, where, and Laura, like this is kind of like good food for thought for your future because Lauren is engaged, everybody. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the other comment was that I try to be really cautious about like I have 2 daughters and I have a son and I want them to feel like they're all being treated the same. But that's not necessarily happening and their perceptions are different. And the other day I was we try to teach our kids, we push them to be very independent. So we teach them like how to do things. And showering is one of these challenges that we're working towards. And my son does it on his own. He's 7. And the girls are still learning, but they fool around a lot in the bathroom. They like to be mermaids. So it's like, it's been a challenge. But one of the times that one of the girls was in the bathroom, I was trying to help her and I was getting frustrated. She said to me, she goes, oh, I wish I was as good as Vicente. And, you know, and she made this comment and I was like, well, what are you talking about? Like, why don't you think you're as good as Vicente? And she's like, well, Mommy, because you always yell at us when we're trying to take a shower that we're not doing it good. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I'll take that note. Like, and she gave me this feedback and I was like, and it's interesting. They're starting to just vocalize like, Mommy, I don't like how this makes me feel. And because of what I've gone through as a kid growing up and everything, I'm always like, I need to be sensitive to this because they're communicating this to me. And Lauren, you know, as an educator too, like you can, I'm sure you have an opinion on this too. Like she said it to me and I was like, I'm going to action on this. Like, I'm going to make sure that I'm pulling back a little bit on like the pressure I'm putting on them because I don't want anyone to feel like they're being inadequate. Like the girls are amazing. They're doing amazing. And I told her, I was like, Mommy's really sorry. I was like, I think you're so amazing that I'm pushing you too hard. I was like, I have to back off. I'm sorry about that. And I always make it a point to apologize because I'm like, they need to know that like Mommy's a human and I make mistakes and I'm not perfect. And I want them to get that, like pull at least that away from it. So I always make sure that I say something to them about it.
I think, yeah, I totally agree. I think that kids these days like have so many pressures that like when we can give them a little slack and be a little kinder to them. They need that.
Yeah.
They need to know that they're appreciated. And I think a lot of kids just need that reassurance.
Let's take a quick break.
Are you interested in podcasting but not sure where to start? My name is Jenny Benitez, and I'm here to help guide you through your podcast launch and maintenance. Check out the link in the episode description for Podcasting Unboxed, your comprehensive startup guide. I am very excited to work with you. Yeah, I had read too that like when you're putting your kids to bed at night to give them like some kind of positive like statements or affirmations. I have the kids doing affirmations every day. Like they have their I am strong, I am beautiful, I am kind. Like everyone runs through them every night before they go to bed. And I think it's so important because it's like they need that grounding to like really help them like become their own little people.
Of course, of course.
So we kind of like alluded a little bit to a few things here. So Lauren is our cousin. And one of the reasons, so I was a little selfish with wanting Lauren to come because A, I want to pick her brain as an educator, but also B, because Lauren and I have such a big age gap between us, we didn't grow up kind of like on the same wavelength. And I actually really wanted to get to know you a little bit better too. So I'm actually really excited to have you on here because I had said that to Melissa. I was like, I don't really know her that well. I want to pick her brain, but I also want you to like, you know, talk about yourself and what you're going through with wedding planning. And like, we want to hear from you. And I'm, again, selfish in this fact because I wanted to get to know you better.
I'm excited to be on here.
Well, and it's funny because when Jenny said that to me, I was like, I forget that there is such a large age gap between Jenny and Lauren. And then I was like, and I get all my information because Lauren and my mother are very close, and Lauren's mom and my mom are very close. So I always get information. So I was like, I was like, maybe I don't talk to her every week, but I always hear something.
She's like, I feel like I talk to you every week, but apparently I don't.
And my daughter Mia loves Lauren. Like she's obsessed with Lauren.
I love Mia. So. Love Mia. Miss Mia. Mia comes to New Jersey now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we got rescheduled.
Lauren, your dad was talking to my mom when they were at the event, and he's trying to convince me to bring Mia to your Wildwood weekend in August.
Oh, you should. Oh my God. She would love it there. Wildwood is the best place.
That's fair. That's true.
But for those of you that are not in our family and don't know who Lauren is, we wanted to take a second. Lauren, actually, we were debating, how old are you now?
Yeah, we did debate that a little bit.
27 now.
I was right.
You were right.
Jenny was like, she's not 27. I was like, no, I think
I did. I was putting you at 25. Yeah, you are a little bit. You're on that.
Like I'm approaching 30.
You're on that second half. You know what? Because I was putting you at the same age as my stepdaughter, and my stepdaughter is 25. Okay. And I kept thinking you were at that same age. And then I was like, and Melissa was like, that can't be right. That doesn't feel right. And I was like, we need to figure this out.
The only reason I know that is because I remember my mom coming with, with your mom and you to go to your 21st birthday bash in Nashville. And I was like, right. No, I was like, it was before mom moved here. And now she's been here at least I was like, I'm pretty sure it's been 6 years.
Wow.
It's been
so crazy.
It feels like so long ago. Now
right?
When you ask me how old I am, I have to like think for a second. Wait, how old am I?
Wait, Lauren is and Lauren's 28. She's an educator.
Oh my God,
I'm aging you.
She's 27. Leave her be. Oh my God.
I think your counts. It starts to count. Lauren is 27. She's an educator in our public school systems. What grade are you teaching now? You're an elementary school teacher.
This year, I'm 5th grade, but I've done 4th, 3rd, and 2nd.
Wow.
And you did, and some of those grades were special ed, right? Yeah. So Lauren really has the know when it comes to education and children. And Jenny and I always give her credit because we were like, how does she handle that many many children?
That's why I'm always super nice to my kids' teachers because I'm like, Mm-mm.
I
No.
love the parents that give me like a giant bottle of wine at the end of the year, and I'm like, you get it.
See, I was trying to figure out what gifts to give, and I thought about that, but I was like, I don't know these people that well. Like, is it weird for me to give alcohol to the teachers?
No, the best gift I could get.
Now I know.
Yes.
And Lauren, like a typical Deo woman, she is a multitasker too. She recently, well, no, it's been a year now, right? You've been engaged a year?
Since December. So
December.
less than a year. Yeah.
So she's planning her wedding, and she also has a food blog or a food. What do they call them? Instagram? I'm not in the know. See, this is how old I am.
It's called
I'm into it.
Foodies.
Yeah, Lauren's the best foodie. Literally anywhere she goes, if I end up going there, I just look at her page and say, because her and her fiance find the best places to eat.
Oh, we love to eat. We love.
No kidding. I want to know. Wait, what's the name of the account? Fancy Foodie?
The Fancy Foodies.
The Fancy Foodies?
The _fancy_foodies, I think.
Yeah. So go check that out, because she literally, if you're in New Jersey, Florida, like literally you can just follow the page and find
I'm into it. I love like, what is it called? Food porn? I'm like really into it. I don't eat any of it. Like, and we've talked about this a couple of times, but like my family's plant-based, but we still, like, my husband and I at night sometimes will watch cooking shows together, and we have to shut it off sometimes because we're like, oh God.
I didn't know you were plant-based. That's so cool.
Yeah, we went plant-based a little over a year ago, actually, I think, at this point.
So
no meat. We're pescatarian at this point because we haven't kicked seafood. Like, we like crab, we like lobster, like we really can't. And plus, I don't know what to cook if we kick seafood. I'm going to be honest. Like, that's kind of why we haven't kicked it entirely, because they have plant-based options for like quote unquote meat. It's pretty good, honestly, these days, but like there's only so far you can go with those patties. Like, where are we going? Like, there's only so far we can go. But the kids are majority plant-based too. Like the kids are majority, like they will, if they ask for it, we'll give it to them. Like, I have chicken on hand and stuff if they want it, but for the most part, they'll say like, we don't eat animals. And
that is great. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah, there's and I'll say this, and you're going to hear it on another episode too, but the documentary I highly recommend for that is The Game Changers. If you ever are interested in looking at plant-based eating, it got me because it wasn't a traditional documentary. It was something that was based in science, which everyone knows that's been an avid listener. I love anything that's science-backed. Very interesting if you ever have time to take a look at it.
I'll have to give it a go because I love a good steak.
I know. The one fact that they threw out there was when they looked at the biological level of how humans digest food versus how carnivores digest food, and our digestion system is in line with herbivores.
Wow. That is very interesting.
And even like down to the shape of our teeth is designed for plant-based like eating. It's not designed, because if you look at a carnivore's mouth and a herbivore's mouth, our teeth structure is in line with a herbivore. It's not in line with a carnivore.
Interesting.
Yeah,
do you find any like health benefits to only eating plants?
So you'll see like any inflammation that you've had, like if you're having like gastrointestinal issues, that wholly goes away. It's obviously you'll lose weight because you're eating more vegetables and stuff like that, but you're still getting a high protein content because there's so much protein in plants. There's a lot more vitamins in plants. You'll feel, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk about the family yesterday, but this is actually a little bit funny. So, because we are Italian, was heavy pasta yesterday, right? So there was a lot of pasta, lots of just heavy sauces. I made rice and beans because that's something that has protein, and I know that it's gluten-free, which I'm not a gluten. I don't have a problem with gluten, but I do try to steer away from like heavy pasta. I was the only one at the end of the day who wasn't yawning.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody else was real sluggish and just like, and they were the ones who all ate hot dogs and
He was ready to
pasta.
run a marathon.
And I was like, all right, let's do this. And everybody was like super tired. So just kind of a plug there. But I digressed. Apologies, everybody. I do want to talk. I'm passionate about it, clearly. So I do want to come circle back around because Laura, we mentioned a couple of things about Lauren. So she has a wide range of experience as an educator. And one of the things that I actually had wanted to talk to Lauren about was my experience in the past year. My son went into first grade, and the first week of school, they had all the parents come in to meet the teachers, and she gave everyone a slip of paper and was like, if you have any concerns about your child, write it down on the paper and we'll talk through it. And she said she'll contact you. And I had already noticed with my son that he was having trouble staying on task, and that we had to push him a lot. Like morning routines was like literally we had to drag him to the bathroom to brush his teeth. It was like, and everyone that I talked to personally was like, well, boys are like that, you have to push them harder. But I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that that's right. Like, that didn't feel right, and it wasn't sitting right. And especially because the girls would get up, get dressed, brush their teeth, and be like ready to go. And I was constantly having to like drag him. And it was just a problem. So I flagged it to the teacher, and she called me and she said, she was like, I noticed it was like it must have been a couple weeks in, because she said, she was like, I noticed the same thing at school. She was like, so I'm glad you're flagging it, because if you're openly like saying, I think that there's a problem, she's like, then we can address this. Because she said majority of the time, parents don't want to address it, and they kind of want to just be like, no, there's no problem. And I was like, no, there is something. I agree. Like, let's work together. But then I got a little bit lost, and I want Melissa, I know you have experience in this too. I got a little bit lost because I wasn't sure, I panicked a little bit because this is my firstborn, and I am part Italian. So it's my firstborn son. And I was like, oh my God, full on mother mode. And I was scared, and I was like, is my son going to struggle for the rest of his life? Like, is he going to be treated differently at school? Like, if he's struggling at school, does he have ADHD? Like, what happens? Like, is he going to have to go to a special school? So I want to pause there, because Melissa was guiding me along the way and giving me feedback on like, well, you have to go through a certain process. The school will support you. But I want you both to kind of opinionate on that, because I was scared at first, and now we've gotten through most of it. But yeah, it was a scary thing to kind of come upon and like try to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, I give you all the credit for being able to like flag it and having the confidence to go to the teacher about it, because I feel like a lot of parents don't want to do that because they're worried about the stigma around special education now. And I feel like it's not the same as it used to be. It's come such a long way, where in my district, actually, most of the classrooms are co-teaching. So there's a special ed teacher and a gen ed teacher. And if it's run the correct way, you don't know what teacher is there for what kids, or what kids have IEPs and who doesn't. I think that at the end of the day, you got to get your child what they need. And there's no like, oh, he's going to be in a room by himself because might have ADHD or whatever his classification is. Like, special education has come such a long way. And honestly, so many famous people that I've like read upon had IEPs in school, and it doesn't slow them down. It's just getting them what they need at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And so in a previous life, I was a psychometrist, which is basically a person that tests children for to initiate the individualized education plan. So we would test children private. It was a private. I worked for a neuropsychologist, so we would put together these reports, and then the reports would be sent over to the school district, and then they would create the IEPs. So normally we would be getting the students because right, Lauren, the school does it themselves.
Yes.
But sometimes we would get parents that, this was 15 years ago, so we would get parents that wanted to skip the line, like they wanted to get these plans started right away. And if there was a long line, they would come to us, have us do it privately, and then we would send the testing information and the report over to the school. But just like you said, I said to Jenny, I was like, you've already made the biggest step, because the the holdback that we used to see is that parents wouldn't want to face that there was an issue. They refused to have a label. They didn't want the stigma of the label. And I was like, honestly, at the end of the day, every child is different. Every child learns differently.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And the IEP is really, I was like, Jenny, you need to just take advantage of it because it will get your son the accommodations that he needs to learn best. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has, like a lot of parents are like, would come in and be like, well, my kid's not smart. I was like, it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with understanding their learning style.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I feel like all kids could honestly have an IEP because you're right. Every kid learns differently. And IEP is just, knowing what modifications and accommodations you should put in place for certain kids, which as a good educator, you do anyways. So honestly, an IEP is like not what it used to be.
And I will say this, the school system, I live in Ocean County in New Jersey, and the school system that the kids are in, I was incredibly impressed because as soon as I flagged it, they, at my word, they put him on a different track, and he was going to basic skills learning every day, and had one-on-one and then also group sessions in basic skills. And they saw progress, but again, it was slower progress because he needs like an individualized plan. But what kept going back into my head, and I want everyone who's listening to hear this too, like what kept going into my head was, I need to do early intervention now, because if I don't, and if I just am on my fears and scared, my son is going to continue to be frustrated, and then he's not going to want to go to school. And I don't want that, because I love school. I'm kind of a nerd-ish closet nerd. I love school. I love research. I love reading. And I want my kids to have that with them where they also love things. And right now he's very like, we call him like a scientist, basically. He's like a scientist litigator. Like, don't get into a discussion with him about something. Like, he will litigate you. But like, he has these, like, for his birthday, everyone got him STEM kits, and he has these like really cool, like, electronic circuit boards where he recircuits the circuit board, and he gets all these different, like, he's very, and he asks these questions. And I remember like when the teachers started saying like, look, we actually are seeing a problem. I remember being like, I don't understand. Like, he's so, like, at home, he's so articulate and so smart. And I was like, how is this possible? But it's because of like that small, like, he just needs to be fed the information in a different way. And he also, like, the attention, was an issue where he, like, they had to kind of prod him a lot. The other thing I wanted to say here too was, in my research on this, I had read, and this is not, I do want to just disclaim really quickly, this is not like an affiliate situation. This is something I'm employing right now. I had read that children who have ADHD typically have a magnesium deficiency, and that when they have a magnesium deficiency, magnesium will help regulate their brain. It'll help regulate their emotions. And my son would have these outbursts where he would just, like, if he didn't get his way, he would just have these emotional outbursts where he would do this ugly crying face that I tried not to laugh because it was like this, but like he would have these crazy outbursts, and my husband and I would be like, what the hell is wrong with you? I started him on this product called Calm, and they're Calm gummies. That's what it's called. The product is called Calm, CALM. You can find it on Amazon, and it's gummies for kids. It's a magnesium supplement for kids. As soon as I started giving it to him, within like a week, I saw a significant change for the positive in how he was regulating his emotions, how he was just kind of staying on task. Like, everything that we were struggling with last year doesn't seem to be a problem anymore now. And these gummies have like, and I actually also started giving it to his sisters, because I'm like, you know what? Like, okay, yes, we identified him needing some extra support, but like, that doesn't mean that the girls, maybe, because I know typically girls are not diagnosed with ADHD until they're much older, because ADHD presents differently in girls. In girls, it's not as hyperactive. In girls, they're called chatty, and they talk a lot. It's a whole different presentation. So I was like, let me give it to them too. Like, see how everybody does. Everybody's outbursts, like their crying outbursts, their fits, everything has like totally like, gone to the lower side, because now they're getting regulated, and now they don't have a magnesium deficiency anymore.
Did also, if you don't mind me asking, did your son, was he able to get an IEP and get the
We're
modification?
actually in the process of it right now. So
Right.
what they're doing when we and thank you for bringing me back because I lost my train.
No, no.
What happened last year, we started every 2 months or so. I met with his team at school.
Right.
So he had his basic skills person, his teacher, the guidance counselor, everybody. And we met, I don't know if it was quarterly or whatever, but we met pretty consistently throughout the year and they gave me progress updates. We talked about different things, techniques we could use with him. And the last session that we had together, I said to them, I was like, look, I really want to action on this. So the plan is now over the summer, they're going to go through the process of getting his IEP in place. And that way, when he starts second grade, he's going to have that extra support there. And Lauren mentioned this too. The stigma really isn't there anymore. So if you're scared to do this, I do want to say, like, I was scared too. And the teacher, and I said that to the teachers, I was like, I really don't want him to be like singled out. Like I'm scared that he's going to feel like a dum-dum, basically. I don't want him to feel like that. Because I remember in grammar school, the kids who had to go to like, what do we call it? Trailer, because it was like a trailer in the back for like special like learning.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, you have to go to the trailer. She said, and exactly what Lauren said, it's either in the classroom directly that they're getting extra support. And then that she said that what we actually do is we group the kids. So when they structure the classrooms, like right now, they're putting the classes together for who's going to be under what teacher. He's going to be in a classroom where there's other kids also on IEPs. And when they leave to go get their individualized, like, support, she said they leave as a group. So it's not just him being pulled out of a class and everybody's like, what's wrong with him? She said it's so normal that the other kids get jealous and they're like, well, why can't we go?
Yeah, I have kids that go to like speech and like they'll leave and then they'll be like, can we go to speech? I'm like,
yeah,
no, you can't go to speech. Like,
like it's not a thing anymore.
No, it's really not.
Yeah,
and I think it's great that you were able to get it over the summer. So it's like to start September with an IEP. So the teacher's aware of it so that she can kind of like make sure that he or she is doing what they need to do that's best for your son.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for the school system, and we were blessed with the house that we bought almost 2 years ago, and the school system has been like out of this world. They're phenomenal. Like I can't say enough good things about them.
That's great.
Outside of the special education track that I wanted to talk about with Lauren, because Lauren's an educator, I also wanted to ask about your recommendations for kids over the summer. We don't want them to fall too far off track. I'm an advocate of like, I need them to stay functional with their brains and not like totally losing everything. What do you think as an educator, like things parents can do over the summer that will just help kids stay kind of excited about school or excited about education and help them not lose too much ground?
Yeah. So this is a big thing that I talk to parents about because I feel like in September, we unfortunately do see something we educators like to call the summer slide, where they were in June is actually higher than where they come in September because they had a summer slide. And I think in order to avoid that, the best things I could say is get your child to read. Don't force a book on them. Let them pick the book that they want to read. If it's, a little lower than what they should be reading, who cares? Who cares what level it is? Who cares what it's about? Get them to get a book that they are interested in, and that's going to keep their attention. That is key. The other thing I always recommend is I feel like in the summer, we spend a lot of time in the car, like driving to the beach and driving around. I know I do. I go to the beach a lot. So I feel like the best thing is like those games in the car, right? Like make it fun, do like a math facts with them and like make it a competition or spelling, can you spell this word for me? Or really anything in the car, like make it a game and make it fun, and it'll keep their attention and make sure that they avoid that summer slide. That's my best advice.
Love it.
I've been taking my kids to the library and being like, look, Yeah. Which I have to find the books because every time we go, they want to take out like 20 or 30 books. They're like everywhere. And I keep getting these emails from the Ocean County Library being like, we've renewed your book. I'm like, you didn't bring it back. We renewed it for you. And I'm like,
Speaking of the library, because I'm always at my library too, they have all these programs at the library now. To like, libraries have come a long
Yes.
way. There's like camps and classes, and that's another great way to ensure like your kid avoids that summer slide.
That's honestly
Even if it's
like
like an
a
art
really good
class.
point. Yeah, because the Ocean County library system, and I've seen it like the other towns we lived into, they all had like programs that ran. The Ocean County
Yeah.
like library system is so nice. Like the branch we go to is a main hub, and they have a calming sensory room, which is like, I'm telling you
Wow.
guys, like I want to you want to take a nap in there. It's really cool. It's actually set up for autism. It's actually set up for people who have autism and special needs. But my kids love it when they go in there because everything's just sensory touch and it's really calming and it's all like puffy and padded and it just feels really like nice and calm in there. And I'm always like, can I come in? I went there once to work. Like I brought my laptop with me and I was like, I'm just gonna
hang
in here. But then they have this thing called the Sparks Lab. Like they have all this really cool stuff and the kids love it. They love going there.
Yeah, those like STEM activities and like hands-on stuff is also great for the summer. Like you said Vincente has those circuit things. Like that's great.
Mhm.
That's making his brain work. Like games, like all of it could just be like a fun way to make sure your kid's still using their brain and still thinking.
And Melissa, I wanted you to elaborate a little bit too, because I want to say something. Melissa's daughter is incredibly articulate and smart. And I was on the phone with her the other day in the car and she goes, she's turning 3, right? In like a week, right? Like, where are we at? Yeah, like in a week or two. She's incredibly smart. And the other day we were on the phone and she was in the car and she goes, "N-O no." And I was like, is she spelling? I was like, what's happening right now? So I kind of want Melissa, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because I'm always like, I love it. I am so impressed with her every time I talk to her because then she talks to me and it blows my mind each time. Melissa, you're full-time. You have your daughter full-time. What activities have you implemented while you're with her and able to impress upon her to help get her to where she is?
Well, it's funny you bring this up because Mia, I swear, she got the best combination of me and Matt. Like, it could have been a bad combination, but she like got the best of both of us. And she's like spelling and writing her name. She's spelling and writing like little words. And like some of my mom friends are like, you have to be like at home grilling her. Like, are you guys like just drilling her on letters and numbers? And I was like, honestly, like I know everyone thinks that, and I know I have like when I used to study, Jenny has seen this firsthand.
Oh no, I've seen it.
When I used to study, I used to drill myself, but I don't do that to her because I used to get like test anxiety and like pressure. And I put so much pressure on myself to be like a straight A student and perfectionist. And like, I don't want to pass that down to my daughter. So believe it or not, I literally do not do that. Like people like, how does she know her letters and how is she starting to read? I was like, I swear to God, I do not do that to her. But what I do, just like Lauren said, we do games, we do activities that are fun for her, and then it makes her interested. So like I forget how we started with these letter magnets that go onto the fridge, and we were just doing colors. Like they're each letter set is different colors, and then she started matching like, hey, and again, we don't do this all day. We do this maybe like 20 minutes, and then she wants to go move on to something else. But like we just started doing it, and then she started, and then when we would read, like I would point to the words in the book to like show her like, hey, these are actual words, like mommy's reading these words. And then she would start doing her own type of reading where she would just say out the letters. So like we have a book called like Brown Bear, So she would just say, "Oh, B R O, mommy, Mia's reading." Like it was, she would like get excited, and like just like I bought her. I'll tell you guys the name of the company, but there's like this really cool company where it's all like toys, but they're education based. So like these llamas have letters on them, and the head and the the head and the butt come apart, and then they match it. So the one part is like an uppercase letter, one part's a lowercase letter. But she just, she plays with the figures, and then she goes, "Oh, look, they match." Like she likes to match things.
Yeah.
So, but then she plays with them like a llama. So she's like, "Oh, let's make a farm." Like, so it's like there are ways, like, just because Matt and I noticed when she turned 2, or 1.5, we started allowing her to have screen time, because I was like, I need like 10 minutes to send an email. Let's be real. And, but we noticed, like, we only give her certain screen time because she would literally turn into a zombie. Like, she would zone out, she would ignore us. And then her emotions, like, if we took it away, she would get super frustrated. So we were like, we're nixing, like, as much as we can, we try. And listen, so she's been sick this week. Yeah, that plan. Yeah. Like, I'm like, here. Take home all day. Like so during sick time is something else. But like on a regular basis, we try to minimize it just because she was becoming a zombie. And the more I started engaging in like little fun activities, and she's at that age where she's going to be 3, she'll play with something like that. Like if I show her the llamas or the magnets on the fridge, she'll play. So that will give me 15 minutes to do something. And she's still doing something education-based. So, yeah, I swear to God, I'm not drilling my kid. But, yes, it was just so funny. We were on the phone with Jenny, and she was in the back of the car, and she's reading these words off the van. And Jenny was like, "Is she freaking reading?" I was like, I swear to God.
I was like, what is happening right now?
She only knows like 5 words that she can read, but like her name, yes, no, like little ones. But I was like, I swear to God, she's doing that, not me.
Great.
Laura, the funniest conversations I've had with Mia is when she calls me and it's not Melissa. It's like literally Mia just like press the button.
She loves my phone. So,
and I'm like, Mimi, is that you? And she's like, hello. I'm like, what are you up to? She's like, mommy's make breakfast, this and that. And she like starts talking with me. And then I'll hear Melissa being like,
she's always like looking for,
or she's like, Uncle David. I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, she
loves my dad.
She always looks for Uncle David.
She loves Lauren's dad. Like she's like, we always go to the beach with Lauren and like Uncle David and Michelle. And now when we go to the beach, she thinks she sees him. So she literally chased down like a few months ago. She chased down this guy that kind of looked like your dad, Lauren, and she goes, "Uncle David, wait, Mia coming. And the guy like just kept walking, and she got really upset. And I was like, "Baby, it's not Uncle David. Like we're gonna go see them, I promise."
Come down there, then.
Yes. You guys, like, you're due for a trip.
So thank you for listening to part 1 of this episode. There'll be part 2 launching next week. And we do hope you find it helpful. I did want to make sure I shared the personal experience of what I'm going through with my son as well, with the education system, because it can be very scary when you do realize your child needs extra help, because you do go through all those mom feelings of, not wanting your child to be different and wanting to make sure that they are getting everything they need. So we do hope that you found this episode informational. Please feel free to follow us on our Instagram account at Steel Roses Podcast. You can reach us on there, or you can look for us on our website, steelroseswomen with an E.com. And on our website, we have a little bio, mini bios from me and Melissa. And then we also have our members only VIP sign up. So it's essentially a wait list. We're in the process of launching a VIP members group, which we're super excited about. A lot of really fun things involved in the group. So stay tuned for that. But if you're interested, please check out the website, sign up so we can get you on the wait list, and we can start reaching out to you for things. Thank you so much for listening. We greatly appreciate everybody who's been with us for all these episodes. All of the feedback from everyone and everyone reaching out has been really tremendous and exciting for us. So we're just very, very grateful for all of you. And don't forget to follow Lauren on Instagram at _fancy_foodie. Again, super delicious pictures on there. So check it out. We'll see you next time.